Kapitid, I'm Tomas Maglonia. Welcome to another episode of Pacific Matters, and you're going to want to buckle up because we're headed over to the island of Tinian, where we get an in-depth look at the cattle industry, which might make a comeback. We get a tour of the new facility in the NMI. Here's more.
Tinian is known for their beef, and we've been dreaming for a slaughterhouse.
That $450,000 dream now a reality. The USDA-certified Tinian Qualidad Meat Processing Center opened in August under the Tinian municipality, marking a return to the promises of the once booming cattle industry. Nearly $300,000 came from Imperial Pacific International's Casino Community Benefit Fund.
We have tested the facility. It is in compliant. It got approved for slaughtering. But at the same time, we wanted to fix some of the issues that we encountered, like for the hanging of the cow. We didn't know it had to be certain length up because the cows that we have here are big ones.
While they wait for those upgrades to slaughter their first cow for sale, there are big promises, echoing the 1970s when at the industry's peak, Tinian had 9,000 cows. It's a far cry from the roughly 20 ranchers and their 2,000 cows now. Domingo Pascua slaughtered nearly 30 cows a week in a private facility that shuttered over a decade ago.
Supplying Guam, Rota, Tinian, Saipan.
At one point, meat was being sent to Japan.
Then is to create a co-op and give opportunities to somebody out there.
The Tinian Cattlemen's Association hopes to see greener pastures.
The whole idea behind this is to try to provide the best quality produce for our people here in the Tinian primarily, and of course later on down the line for the entire CNMI. And hopefully if we build capacity, then we can always extend it to our friends in Guam.
And here's a closer look at the tour we got on the island of Tinian.
So this facility was an effort to the Cattlemen's Association. As you know, Tinian is known for their beef, and we've been dreaming for a slaughterhouse, US certified USDA facility. So finally got support from the governor's office. This is an actual from the IPI Community Chest Fund that purchased this entire portable slaughterhouse. Came in just right after we were in a recovery. We're trying to figure out the entire community, but then through the efforts of Greece and CDA at that time, with a lot of collaboration with them, this facility came about. This opened last year, officially the later part of last year. In total, I would say it's going up with everything that we spend, also coming from the municipal funds that we barely have. I would say almost $450,000. We were certified last year, right after summer. We have tested the facility. It is in compliant. It got approved for slaughtering. But at the same time, we wanted to fix some of the issues that we encountered, like for the hanging of the cow. We didn't know it had to be certain length up because the cows that we have here are big ones. So that is one of the hold-up. But at any given time, anybody can come here, and not any given time. There is a schedule for slaughtering, but we have not really officially slaughtered cows that can be gone out for commercial. We're just waiting to fix this, and then hopefully we work out a plan with the ranchers. We still need to talk to the ranchers. This facility was good for them, and I wanted them to make sure they use the facility. There are some requirements for them. There are some fees that they need to put in for them to be able to get their process and then get certified as a USDA. But there are some little glitches that we need to make sure based on USDA's requirements. So it is certified, but some of the processing. Because right now we only have a chiller, or we're trying to buy a freezer. So then the chiller is only to store.
Yeah, still for about 3 to 5 days.
3 to 5 days. After that, the owners need to come and take it out. Now I want them to be able to. A lot of them don't have a walk-in chillers here. The only one is Triple J, a freezer. So then we were in the midst of purchasing a freezer. So then they can take it out from the chiller, put it in the freezer. From the freezer, we put up the slicers, and then out you go. We are probably, just offhand, probably more than 20 ranchers, approximately 2,000, almost 2,000 cows. Well, there's where the cattleman needs to step up. If we do start slaughtering and the demand is out there, we might finish the cow maybe in 3-4 years. But there's another process and another program that we're wanting to push through with the cattlemen, so then the spread is what do you call that, sustainable. We want to make sure company out of Saipan is just, they have the numbers, they know what's the market. We just kind of provide, and we do provide. The ranchers are still providing fresh cow to Saipan, to these winners. So we've been in contact with them. They came down here, they looked at our facility. I've seen their facility, I've seen their marketing. They're doing well. They do sell pigs and cows on Sabro Market in Saipan, and he has like 3 outlets, 2 restaurants. So this is just one person we're talking about. We're trying to start and engage discussions with Triple J. What are the possibilities of them also getting local food, local meat from us, and there are other things that we wanted to do, not only for cow, to include pigs and goats.
Welcome back. Now we take a closer look at the history behind the cattle industry on Tinian.
In Tinian, we're used to just going around and hanging at the pine tree, flame tree, and then slaughter our cow. But through the USDA process, there's so much requirement that that we need to follow, and then it allows us to make sure that the meat is the safety and sanitation of the food is the best bit that you can provide. But after going all through the process, we kind of like took a step back and say, oh wow, we didn't know that, we didn't know this. When you shoot a cow, you have 7 minutes only to hang a cow and bleed the cow. If you don't do that within the 7 minutes, then that cow is disqualified. And really, when we slaughter the cow and put them in the chiller, there are certain hours that the owners have to come back and pick them up, and then even we're not done only with only them coming over and picking those things up. If those meat are going to a commercial vendor, there are certain temperatures that are required from here to the vendor.
And then the wrapping should be USDA approved wrapping.
These are things that are new to us, and we are still the process of getting those materials and having them available, then then you would say that the whole process of food safety is there. So back in this, I believe in the late 60s, early 70s, the Joneses were out
Yeah,
here.
I'm the one who will process all the facilities over there.
He was the facility manager for
Yeah.
the old slaughterhouse.
Preparing all the plans and all the facilities that is to submit it to the Washington D.C.
So how many
office.
years ago was that?
Oh,
That's way back 1970s.
So you were at that slaughterhouse?
Yeah, I was there. I'm the one who will submit all the equipment and all the materials of the slaughterhouse and then plan. So in that way back 1978, that's the time that we are doing all the processing.
So what happened?
so they came out here. It was the older brother of Bob, Ken Jones. So then we had slaughterhouse as a meat industry going on at that time. At the same time, they had dairy, fresh milk at that time. So
Milking cow.
the locals took advantage of getting cows also from Mr. Jones over the years.
500 milking cow.
So then they have their own ranch. So then when MDC, Micronesian Development Corporation, stopped,
Because Mr. Jones has already all the
They-
plans so important. So, we will plan to sell out the ranch to the Japanese. And the one-
these local ranchers began to their herds began to grow. So that's how the cattle industry continued. So then ever since MDC shut down, that was the only certified USDA facility. The people have been asking for a facility like
So
such.
why did it shut down though?
They had they divested them
because the land that we lease, they take back. And then that's the time that they can give us.
So when was the last day then?
2008. 2008, the MPLA, Marine Public Authorities, they will give us the recommendation to shut out because at that time, I think Mr. Jones is giving up the land and then they will give us end of the land so they will take back. So that's the time that we are prepared to phase out the company.
Slaughtering was not
2008,
no longer when Mr.
Yeah.
Jones merged with the Japanese. They diversed their interest into farming, agriculture. Ranching was not an option anymore for them because it's costly and the amount of cattle that
So
they
the
had.
last slaughterhouse closed in 2008?
Yeah, in DC, and that's in DC time. So,
Here on Tinian?
yeah, in Tinian, the slaughterhouse is still over there.
Man, these guys were.
And that was also USDA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mr. Jones at that time was providing meat region. They were flying cow meats out of here from planes,
Yeah.
sometimes to Japan.
We are doing supplying Guam, Rota, Tinian, Saipan.
And so you wanna bring that back?
Also Guam.
Yeah.
Also Japan.
And make it for the locals, available for the locals.
And this time, but this is government.
This
right?
is government run.
That's the difference.
That's the difference. And you know, personally, I don't see why the government should be running a facility like this. It should be through a co-op or a private company running this facility.
So why did you decide to do it this way?
And the vision was for the ranchers to run this facility, but then the ranchers came back and told us that they don't want to do it, and they're a little bit hesitant in doing it because of just putting everything together is hard for them. So then, this thing was here. I'm not about to just let it rot in a yard. Why don't we put it up and then run it for a couple months, couple years, and then convince somebody to take over. The intent is not to to fully run this facility under the municipal. Intent is to create a co-op and give opportunity to somebody out there to come in and run it, really.
And in our next segment, we speak with a longtime rancher on the island of Tinian who tells us what is the most pressing need of cattlemen on the island.
My name is Jose M. de la Cruz. I am the chairman for the Tinian Cattlemen's Association here in the island of Tinian.
All right, so what's your view now that there's a slaughterhouse, but it's still waiting for some technical fixes to fully reopen? Is this something ranchers are welcoming here on Tinian?
Oh yes, yes. The whole idea behind this is to try to provide the best quality produce for our people here in Tinian primarily, and of course later on down the line for the entire CNMI. And hopefully if we build capacity, then we can always extend it to our friends in Guam. So I'm very happy that the governor and the Tinian leadership has been very instrumental in trying to provide us with the proper facility for ranchers here on the island.
And why do you think it's taken a few years to restart this or reboot it?
Just like any project, it takes a while. This project has to be scrutinized with Department of the USDA because it's for human consumption, and we have to follow the guidelines. So we have to abide by the rules and procedures to make sure that the food is safe for human consumption.
And what is the biggest need of ranchers right now in Tinian, do you think?
I'm glad that you asked me that question. We're heading towards the dry season. We have like half dry and half rainy season here on the island, and this is the beginning of the dry season. Our most critical need right now is, of course, supply of water. Adequate supply of water. We have no problem with that. It's just that some of our facilities are down right now. It's not in operation, but I was assured already by the elected leaders and the governor that they're going to look into it and they're going to work on it expeditiously.
And can you explain what is the current water situation like for those who might not know?
The water here in the island, we have a lot of water. We have no problem with the resource itself. Distribution is a problem. We have to practically hold water majority of us have to hold water on our water buffalo. Most of them are like between 200 to 500 gallons capacity water tanks, and we have to hold water. I myself am running right now about 120 some head of cattle, so I bring to my pasture roughly about 750 gallons a day. No choice. I mean, dry season, the animal consume more water during the dry season,
So what would the help look like then?
Well, the governor has pledged some financial assistance for the Tinian Cattlemen's Association, and we're putting together a plan to make sure that all those issues are resolved, try to get a bigger water tank for the ranchers, try to figure out a way to bring in a chopper so we can chop the grass during dry season and bring it to the pasture.
Welcome back. Before we close out the show tonight, here's a story that will have you looking up at the sky tonight. We sit down with Joshua Brazel, who takes photos of space from an open field on Tinian. Here's more. Joshua Brazel capturing space, the moon in high dynamic range, the Andromeda Galaxy, and what he believes to be one of a satellite from Elon Musk falling from the sky. These images were captured from an open field on the island of Tinian with his telescope phone, and digital camera.
It's the best place for astrophotography because there's hardly any light pollution in this island. So for me, doing it about 2.5 years now, I found out it's the best place for, shooting.
He moved to Tinian in 2017 from Washington State and lives here with his wife who's from the island and his child, trading city skylines for these open skies. When the pandemic first hit, he decided to just look up.
I was always into astronomy and into space, and so I got into this hobby, astrophotography, and then I started from there. It started from COVID, and then when the lockdown came in, trying to find something to do to, during the lockdown. So
when he's not at work as a staffer at the island's airport, you can find him sitting for hours on end, searching for those bright lights.
It's really rewarding, spending, countless hours out here and, taking images and bringing, space back down home and then processing it and then showing others to the cinema, of space, because for me, it's difficult, but like I said, it's rewarding.
He watches and waits as clouds pass by, making way for a window into the unknown and a view that can remind us that we're specks in the vast universe.
It's giving me the chance to see space, not having the opportunity to, not everybody had the opportunity to, go into a space shuttle and fly. So it's a way, to get away, I guess, and get a step away from Earth is the best way to say it. I want to make it to a career towards I'm a paid traveler to travel around the world to different countries and take astrophotography, in historical sites. So that's one of my biggest goals right now.
That step away also reminds him that the sky is the limit. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Pacific Matters. We'll see you right here next week.